The Meriwether County Board of Commissioners, June 25th, 2024 meeting at 6:00 p.m. We'd like to ask you this time any cell phones, electronic devices to put them on silent so they don't interrupt. And we'll start off with invocation by our former Commissioner, Buster McCoy. If you would remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It's good to see y'all and these in attendance. If you would just bow with me and I'll attempt to lead us to the throne. Thank you. Lord, we just come to you at this time as always, thanking you for the much that you have done for us. Lord, even thanking you in the future for that you're going to accomplish. And we just ask you to be here in our midst, Lord. Our nation is probably in as much need of you and your guidance as she's ever been. And Lord, we pray for our nation, we pray for our state, we pray for our county, Lord. And just ask that you would instill and give these men and women the strength of their convictions, Lord, that they can lead us and take us forward in the way that you would have us go. As always, Lord, just forgive us where we fail you. In that name that's above all names. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next on the agenda here, we'll be adopting the agenda, and we was informed to remove item number 3 off of new business. Is there any other changes or things that need to be added? If not, I have a motion to accept the agenda.
So moved.
Got a motion?
Second.
Got a second, all in favor? Thank you. We have presentations here tonight would be William Harris, Meriwether County Tax Assessors.
Okay. Good evening, esteemed board members of the Meriwether County Board of Commissioners and citizens of Meriwether County. My name is William Harris, and I appreciate the opportunity to present and speak on behalf of the Assessment Department for Meriwether County as your Chief Appraiser. Tonight, I want to go over 3 major topics when it pertains to assessments. The first topic is the homestead freeze for Meriwether County. The second is what to do if you have questions or concerns. And the third is why we did what we did. Proper valuation practices lead to upgraded roads, improved public transportation, and enhanced utilities, which have facilitated smoother operations for residents and businesses alike. These improvements are crucial for sustaining growth and maintaining the quality of life. 1, the homestead freeze. In Meriwether County, the homestead comes with a built-in increase in exemption amount if the value of the house increases due to market activity. Example, property A has a value of $250,000 with an estimated tax bill of $2,000. If that property has an active homestead in place, when the value increases to $310,000 with no modifications made by the homeowner, the homestead freeze will kick into effect, keeping the tax liability around $2,000 as it was previously. What to do if you have questions or concerns? If there are any questions or concerns, we welcome all taxpayers to stop by the office or simply just give us a call. I do allow taxpayers to schedule appointments with me directly if they want to discuss their values. Our office is at 124 North Court Square, Greenville, Georgia, across the street from the Meriwether County Courthouse. Our office number is 706-672-4222. Again, our office number is 706-672-4222. We are open from 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday, and we are happy to serve the public. Why did assessments go up? The assessment department is charged with placing fair values on properties within our jurisdiction. The definition of fair market value is the amount a knowledgeable buyer would pay for the property and a willing seller would accept for the property at an arm's length bona fide sale, per the Georgia Department of Revenue. This means that the fair market value should be closer to the sales price. This was not the case for Meriwether County. Next, I will give 3 examples of us undervaluing properties. I will only present the values to ensure all taxpayers' rights to privacy are intact. Property in Greenville, sold October 2021 for $530,000. Value for 2021 was $336,300. That's $63,000 below its sales price. I'm sorry, 63% below its sales price. Property in Luthersville, sold January 2022 for $300,000. Value for 2022, $146,200, which is 49% of its sales price. Property not in a city, just in the county, sold February of 2023 for $220,770. Value for 2023, $51,479. 23% of its sales price and 77% below the value. Assessments are meant to be a fair way of dividing up the tax burden for the citizens. If someone is paying an incorrect value, the rest of us are having to pay the difference. Looking ahead, we aim to continue our focus on sustainable values, but first we need to get to the starting line. Our vision is to create a vibrant, resilient, and inclusive Meriwether County that meets the needs of all residents. In conclusion, Meriwether County Board of Tax Assessors has made notable progress, and we are committed to building on this foundation. We appreciate the continued support of the Board of Commissioners and the citizens of Meriwether County, and we look forward to working together to achieve our shared goals. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. We'll move right on into the finance report. Mr. John.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, in front of you, the bank balances as about 3:30 today. All the funds are holding steady. You'll notice that we have a new lease investment pool, $2.5 million of special projects that has been opened and initial deposits have been made. $1 million still sits in the First People's Bank. A little over $1 million. I'll be moving that $1 million into the investment pool to gain that interest today or tomorrow. The general fund is at 2.6 million. It's actually lower than that on the ledger due to the mail. Everybody knows the mail, the checks are in the mail and it's taking a while to process. Our loss, SPLOS and T-SPLOS allocations will come in on Thursday. They roughly should be around the same amounts that you see listed below. On your second page, you see your SPLOS and T-SPLOS allocations. And the balance for, as of today, for 2020 SPLOS is 174,028.32 available to spend. T-SPLOS is a negative 345,678.13. With the allocations coming in this week, the SPLOS will increase to probably around 335,000. SPLOS will decrease to just under 200,000. So in about 2 months, SPLOS will be back into the positive. T-SPLOS, I'm sorry.
Any questions for finance guy, John, on the board? And I guess we're still working on setting up an audit with the landfill?
Yes, sir. I went out there during Leadership Meriwether and saw where the landfill is. I know where it's at, and I will be scheduling that in probably next month to get out there and see about auditing the landfill.
That would be great. Thank you, sir. All right, under department heads, we got any department heads who would like to speak to the board or speak to the public tonight?
I have a few reports to give. From Human Resources, they had open enrollment. It was a big success. There was lots of participation. They had 24 employees stop by and speak with a retirement consultant. And Ms. Valley's been working on entering new enrollees and contribution changes for the 457B plan. We had 22 employees stop by and speak with the AFLAC representative, and 11 who either enrolled or made changes to their AFLAC benefits. There's also a meeting with EHG Wellness. I think that was actually my fault. I'm sorry. I was leaning on Surrey and she just piped up. Had a meeting with EHG Wellness, and we'll begin taking steps to promote it soon. Still have some tasks relating to the new Symetra benefits and making sure all goes well with implementing them. Of course, there's hiring, terminations, applications, recruiting, retention. Participated in an unemployment appeal hearing last week for constitutional office, and also attended a Leadership Meriwether session last week. That's Ms. Valerie. The animal control, Shelter's still over capacity, and they've had a small number of adoptions over the weekend at PetSmart. We appreciate George, still working those weekends, trying to get those adoptions made. And anybody who might want to adopt, it's a great time. We appreciate you doing it. IT Matt has been working on getting new internet to the public defender and large server updates. We'll close out, the tax assessor office. Close out 3 weeks of the mailing of notice of assessments. They're proud to say they have received less than 1% of value changes appealed, and the phones are ringing and people are coming in, but they're there to help. And then finally, from our fire chief, Danny, reporting on the Alabama concert at Longleaf. And of course, there were other bands there as well. Very good event. Meriwether County Fire and Rescue, we got this first person, so I'll just speak as Danny. Would like to thank the staff as well as volunteers from Upson County EMA and Pike EMA for their hard work in making the concert a safe event. They assisted with heat exhaustion as well as transporting disabled attendees to the parking lot. They handed out water and cold towels, used the EMS units as rehab units with air conditioner, treated multiple patients that were released on patient refusals to be transported. They transported one patient from the event to a nearby hospital. Upson County brought their mobile command unit that was used for the incident command post. This was a great opportunity to exercise multiple agencies on a large-scale event. They actually have to do a required EMA exercise, so they use this to double as that, and I think that was a very good idea. They're attempting to use this event as a GM exercise is what it is. We will have after-action review in the coming weeks to brainstorm on things that were good as well as the things that can get a little bit better. Total units event, Upson EMA brought 6 members, UTV, EMA command post, and rescue truck. Pike EMA brought 3 members, a UTV. Meriwether Fire brought 8 members, 3 spare EMS units, 1 fire unit, and 2 UTVs. The ability to utilize multiple agencies helped us keep the staff that were there assigned to shift and service and able to respond to normal everyday calls. So if we had to leave for a call, they had other people there, so that was an added benefit. And we thank everybody that participated in that event. We appreciate you very much.
Thank you. Any other department heads? All right, then we'll move right along into citizen comments. I have to read this off to you. Speakers must contact the county clerk at stevens@meriwethercountyga.gov or 706-672-3460 on or before the dates and times listed below in order to be placed on the agenda to speak. Speakers must provide their names, address, and the topic they wish to discuss. For the second Wednesday of the month, 9:00 a.m. meeting, speakers must email or call before 5 p.m. on the day before the scheduled meeting. For the fourth Tuesday of the month, 6:00 p.m. meeting, speakers must email or call before 5 p.m. on the day of the scheduled meeting. Speakers must direct their remarks to the board and not to individual commissioners or to the audience. Personal disagreements with individual commissioners or county employees are not a matter of public concern, and personal attacks will not be tolerated. Speakers will be allotted 3 minutes to speak on their chosen topic as they relate to the matters pertinent to the jurisdiction of the Board of Commissioners. No questions will be asked by any of the commissioners during citizens' comments. Outbursts from the audience will not be tolerated. Common courtesy, civility are expected at all times during the meeting. No speaker will be permitted to speak more than 3 minutes or more than once unless the board votes to suspend this rule. We have 3 people signed up to speak under citizens' comments tonight. And the first one to speak is Mr. Dustin Owens. Mr. Dustin, if you come up, please.
Yeah, good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Dustin Owens. I live at 21158 Roosevelt Highway, and I've been a resident here in Meriwether County since around 2006. Thank y'all very much for the opportunity to come speak here tonight before you. I know that you all's job here as commissioners is not an easy one. It's not an easy task, and I appreciate the time to listen to my concerns and comments. During this season of tax assessments and tax raising, as we've heard, it comes to mind for me to come here to ask exactly what we're getting for our money, and specifically as it pertains to our fire district tax dollars and the fire district tax. I was a full-time employee here at Meriwether County in the Fire Rescue Department during 2016 when the fire district tax plan was presented and came to fruition. I believed heavily in the fire district tax, and I still do believe heavily in it. I knew it was going to be a benefit to our department and a benefit to me and my family as citizens. I was an adamant supporter of it and campaigned vigorously to make sure that it passed. However, since then, the implementation, management, and rollout of this fire district plan has been less than ideal. I understand that when there is such a massive undertaking as this district tax plan was, there are many variables that go into its, success or failure. I understand sometimes take extra time, but here we are more than 7 years into the plan, and the plan as it was presented and sold to us still has not been completed. I know specifically in my area, the Alley Road, Primrose area of Roosevelt Highway, we were supposed to receive a fire station that still has yet to be built. I know in Alberton, the station was supposed to be renovated. That still has not happened. I have submitted a request for some more information into this district plan and was met with a little bit of surprise over the cost of receiving these open records, which we're going to work through that. So I don't have any specific data with me here tonight, but I hope to receive this information in the future and have some more factual points to talk on. However, I would like to bring up just the overall administration of this fire district tax and the fact that taxes are necessary. And we understand inflation. We know we all live in this world and we know things go up. And I do not mind paying my taxes. I do not mind paying my fair share. However, when presented with a tax specific such as this fire district tax plan, I believe it's necessary that we receive what we were sold on. I don't ask for anything more, but I certainly don't expect anything less either. And based on the district plan as delivered to us with a certain number of stations built, certain number of apparatus to be purchased, and the number of personnel that we were guaranteed to be paid per shift that our tax dollars were going to fund, we're not receiving that. And we have not been receiving that for some time. I know for a while now, our fire and rescue department has been sitting somewhere around a third staffing, 33%, 30 to 40% staffing. I know this past Saturday, when we're supposed to have 7-man fire engines in the county, when we had a major event in this county, we had 1 man station.
Thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
Let's see, the other one called and canceled. So next up to speak would be Mr. John Knight. You got 2 minutes left. No, I'm just kidding. I was timing your setup. That's all right. Go ahead. You got 3 minutes, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you, Board of Commissioners and staff, for letting me speak tonight. I would like to request that Meriwether County amend their ordinance, their curb and gutter ordinance, to make the acreage minimum from 5 acres to 2 acres for the lot minimum. Curb and gutter makes sense when high density zoning is available. For instance, 2 to 8 houses per acre. Meriwether County does not offer the utility services that we would require to seek such a high density zoning. Given the cost associated with curb and gutter and land, it is not fair to put this burden on the developer when these high density options are not available. While counties such as Coweta, Fayette, and Fulton were establishing their populations, these sorts of ordinances were not in place. It was not until they had built their county's population did they have the tax dollars to improve their schools and their water and sewer availability. Once high density zonings became available, these sorts of ordinances came into effect. Consequently, several less established counties adopted these requirements, not considering the long-term consequences. Moreover, in regards to water runoff, I have discussed with several experts, and they all say on lots of 1+ acres, the drainage is better serviced by open ditch than curb and gutter. I'm seeking a 2-acre minimum, adhering to the 2-acre requirement when on a paved road and zoned LDR. At 2 acres, I am asking for twice the lot size, where experts say open ditch is better than curb and gutter for drainage. Likewise, using the open ditch and large lots to service the drainage, we would forego the need to build retention ponds, and that can often be an eyesore and create maintenance issues for Meriwether County. With inflation specifically seen in today's building material cost, it makes it cost prohibitive for us to develop in Meriwether County under its current ordinances. When you require curb and gutter, you are not only asking for curb and gutter, but all the additional infrastructure that entails. Curb and gutter requires storm drains and concrete inlets and pipe be ran underneath the street. Then you will need to build a pond to retain the runoff. Curb and gutter adds hundreds of thousands of dollars in development, and right now we cannot justify that expense. Additionally, these streets will all become public streets, and the pipe ponds and curb and gutter will have to be maintained by Meriwether County. Changing the ordinance from 5 to a 2-acre minimum would benefit Meriwether County in several ways. It would increase land values and opportunities in Meriwether. It would increase the population with high-quality taxpayers. We sell homes to a lot of young professionals, first-time home buyers. Increasing the population will stimulate the local economy, and we will see more restaurants and businesses move toward the area. Finally, this will allow us to add more beautiful neighborhoods and homes to Meriwether County, all the while sticking true to the rural charm of Meriwether with these large 2-acre lots. Here is a development we have presented in Meriwether. It's located on Highway 85. It's in Gay, Georgia. And this is a plat that we bought approximately 30 acres. And this is a plat that we're working on.
Can you also, before you end, will you state your name and address for the record?
Speak up to the mic, please.
My name's John Knight. My address is 104 Pepper Tree Drive, Noonan, Georgia, 30265. I believe the next speaker,
That's what I say, well, I think you got someone else, but your time
Brandon,
is up.
if you guys don't mind, if Brandon could yield his time to me so I can just continue.
That's fine,
All right.
3 minutes.
All right. So this is a 30-acre tract that we have purchased in Gay, Georgia, in Meriwether County. This is a plat that we've received preliminary approval on. And what we're doing is we're cutting it up and we're using easements to access these lots. These are all 2-acre lots. And while we were doing this, we thought, well, we think there's a better way that we could service this and do the same amount. Not increasing the amount of lot yield, but just creating one road that goes through the entire parcel and services the whole lot. This is a design that we created that shows what we have the idea for. This is Highway 85. In this example, we were going to access one off Highway 85. In this example, there's not the need for that. You can go to Ike Williams, and then you can access this one cul-de-sac. And we can make this economically feasible as long as we cut that curb and gutter requirement from 5 acres to 2-acre lots. About 90% of the homes, probably more than that, in Meriwether County are already built on roads that are not curb and gutter. Here is this is a neighborhood we built off Primrose Road and Tim Nelson Road called Primrose Park. As you can see, these are large lots. It looks really nice. There's no curb and gutter, and this is serviced by open ditch with a pipe that runs through it, and all the drainage is able to drain onto these large lots. Here's a close-up of one of the homes we built that's very popular. We built this at Primrose Park. We built this on Gold Mine Road, and we're selling this. This is about 1,700 square feet. We're selling this for about $350,000. So the property values have gone up. When we first started building Meriwether County, unfortunately, we were building 2,500 square foot homes, and we were able to sell them for about $250,000. So the market's changing, and this is kind of help we need. And right now, we're facing a housing crisis where people can't afford them, and there's also way too many people need them. And if we were able to do something like the design we planned, like this, we would be able to put some more money into an entrance, and it would be more of an actual neighborhood. So here's the design that we had serviced at. We're calling this project Herndon Hill. It's right over there by a road called Herndon Drive. That's where we came up with the name. So I'd like to present it to you today, and I hope you guys hear my request. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you for coming. All right, moving right along, we're going to go to the minutes. Everybody's had a chance to look at the June 12th, 2024 regular meeting, 9:00 a.m. minutes. Is there any changes or anything someone noticed? If not, do I have a motion to accept the minutes?
Motion to accept.
Got a motion?
Second.
Got a second? All in favor? Thank you. Going to go right on into a public hearing. Number one is case number 24-006, request from Herbert Crawford to rezone parcel 073A-028, 15.08 acres from RR to NHC, and parcel 073-011-002, 2.25 acres from RR to NHC for the proposed use of laydown yard and storage for grading company. This is in District 2.
Commissioners, I'm sorry to say that Mr. Scott just had texted me a little while ago, and he is stuck in Atlanta traffic and unable to make it tonight, and asked if you could continue this to the next meeting.
Okay.
Once you're in the public hearing, you can continue it. You can continue the public hearing by naming a date and time. You would not close the public hearing, because once you close it, you can't take any additional information from anyone. So,
So,
and we don't have, we didn't actually have a motion to move into the public hearing from the start.
yeah, we didn't. So, do we need to go to a public hearing and then make a motion to take, do I have a motion to go into a public hearing?
Motion to go in public hearing.
Do I have a second? Second. All in favor? Now, do I have a motion to,
To
Okay.
continue.
Is it gonna be the day
Continue.
meeting or the night? Is it gonna be the day meeting or the night meeting?
Does it,
You need to have a date and time certain. So if you're scheduling it for your next night meeting, that meeting.
It's gonna be the day. I make a motion to continue this public hearing till July the 10th at the 9 a.m. regular scheduled meeting.
Second.
motion second, all in favor? There we go. Thank you, sir. There are no appointments, so we'll move right into unfinished business. The first thing on that is discussion and consideration of implementing a policy on medium decorum. Yeah.
Yes, sir. You've got the Robert's Rules of Order, which I emailed on additional section to you today and texted everybody to let you know that email it to you to make sure you have it. That is what we're under now. If you want something more robust, we have the ACCG recommended decorum policy for your consideration.
When you say that's something we're under now, is that something that has officially been adopted or just something that we follow?
The Robert's Rules of Order, yes, sir. Y'all been under for.
What's that?
The Robert's Rules of Order, y'all been under for.
Again, as Nathan Lee, the county attorney, pointed out to me, is it something that was adopted by a previous board, or is it something we just went by? Because what he stated, if it's already been approved in years past to go by that, then that's all we need, and we would just generate that. If it's never been actually adopted, then he just said the board just needs to adopt it and then move on. So
There's
from my
an actual
understanding-
order, there's an ordinance.
Huh?
There's an ordinance stating that we have adopted the Robert's Rules of Order. And if it changes at any given point, that new Robert's Rule of Order goes into place under that ordinance.
Okay.
Right.
Well, then we wouldn't even have to have it on here, because what brought it on here to begin with was when he requested to find if it's been adopted in the past, I was understanding that nobody could find it.
It's in
No, it's-
Okay, well, then, yeah,
Yeah.
well,
So we ought to have this in place.
so it's in place, and that's fine. Then that's all we need.
That's
Yes.
all we need.
Okay. Take care of that real quick. Number 2, confirm T-Splosh called meeting with cities for July 2nd, 2024, 6 o'clock p.m.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, here tonight just to, of course, give you guys an update on T-Splosh and ask that you confirm the public hearing that we've set for that, or the meeting with the cities. Letters went out to the cities already. We planned to meet, and this was a date I think that worked for everyone at the time, July the 2nd, 6 p.m. And we hope to cover everything. What we'll do initially is to talk to all the cities and cover again a broad aspect of what the T-Splosh does, what it can't do, what it can do. We'll need to come up with our project list, and by that I'm not talking about specific roads, I'm talking about just in general. Cities will need to do the same thing. We'll need to come up with a distribution of the funds, and we have historically done that by the population percentages. I've already calculated it that way. But we've got to add, I think, Pine Mountain, which has a very, very small population. We'll add that to it as well. You guys will also need, after that meeting or at that meeting, you'll need to call another meeting on either July the 31st or August the 1st to approve a referendum that needs to go back to the Board of Elections. They have to have it by, I think, the 9th, and we have to have it really done by the 1st where it can go into the paper and advertise, because it can't be any less than the August 1st to get it in there. Sections of the law, thanks to our county attorneys, have looked at it for us, and we appreciate their work on it. The laws have changed a little bit, and I'll go over this just very briefly. We've got to have an IGA now. In the past, you didn't. There were some ways you could reduce funding, but the IGA only has to be with a city with 50% of the municipal population, so you really only need one or two. If a city doesn't sign the IGA, then you go back and project their revenue based upon a formula that's set out in state law. And most of the time, they're going to be better off with their population than they are with taking this new formula. Another big thing to me is that this can now go to 6 years if all the cities sign the intergovernmental agreement. It gives you another year of funding and should increase our funding from, I think, an estimated 10 million, maybe up to about 12 million for use of roads and our transportation projects. So number one, we wanted to confirm the meeting on July the 2nd, 6 o'clock, and we'll remind all the cities, we've sent them an invitation already, but we'll remind them again, and we'll have the room set up where everybody could come to order and have the meeting. And be glad to answer any questions, and we'll go into a little more detail in all the aspects of it when we get to that meeting on July 2nd.
It's going to be a big learning curve. We have 7 new mayors in 7 cities since the last time we did this, plus a new 2/3 of this board.
Right. I've tried to go around and see most of the mayors. I think there's a couple I haven't seen yet, and I'll try to maybe get by before the 2nd to do that, because there's a lot of work and a lot of changes there.
And a lot of things to understand.
Absolutely. We'll send also the IGA, I'll send that out to you guys and the cities prior to the meeting where they can take a look at it, okay? All right. Thank y'all. Yeah, I just need to get you guys to vote on July 2nd, 6 p.m.
I make a motion to set the July 2nd meeting for the T-Splosh to meet with the cities and municipalities at 6 p.m.
I'll second it.
Got a motion and a second, all in favor? Thank you. Number 3, recommended adoption of employee pay scale, FLSA, new rules.
Mr. Chairman, Board of Commissioners, just to give you a new background on the new FLSA law that's coming in, and I didn't have time to put it up with your packet. You got so many papers up there already. As of July 1st of 2024, the minimum salary for an administrator or professional employee is $43,888 annually. We currently have no employees that are under that threshold. Come January 1st, 2025, that amount increases to $58,656 annually. Again, that's $58,656 from the $43,888 in July. We currently have 7 employees under this threshold. In finance, we're working with the department heads on these individuals under the budget to determine if overtime would be warranted or to increase these individuals to the new threshold. And Michael has reviewed it as well. And, based on calculation, it may be better to keep someone in overtime if they only work a little. If they work excessive overtime, it may just be better to move them to the new federal standards.
That's the exemption threshold. So it doesn't mean that you can't have an administrative employee under that threshold. It just means that you'd have to pay them overtime if they work beyond 40 hours in a given week, just like a hourly employee. Right. And that is calculated based on their salary divided by the number of hours, their weekly salary divided by the number of hours they work in any given week. So you'd have to calculate it on an every week basis if they worked overtime.
And by standards, that will change every 3 years going forward. I believe that's what the new law came out. I just want to get that before we went into the consideration and adoption of the pay scale. In front of you have the pay scale. Names have been redacted. Employee ID numbers have been redacted. Current salaries, the new projected rate. I've worked with all the department heads, elected officials for the past 2 months. I've resent confirmations back out to all department heads and elected officials. They all feel that this is a fair and adequate wage for the employees of Meriwether County under them. no increases will go into effect. I mean, if the board adopts this policy, it will go into effect July 1st, 2024, which is also the beginning of a new pay cycle. No step increases will be given out until October 1st, 2025, because we still have to come up with the uniform guidelines on what would constitute a step increase. And every department, elected officials' office is different. They have a 6-month probational period, a year probational period, 90-day probational period. There's a lot of moving parts that we have to get from different directions. Staff would recommend the only way that a step would go into place if this was adopted is if they have received an associate's, a bachelor's, or a master's degree in a related field or a job-related certification. That would automatically move them into a step prior to October, which would keep them in line with pay according to the other counties. Staff recommends that the annual merit stays in place for 2.5% for January 1st of 2025. And the performance evaluations will be completed by December 15th. Currently, what you have in front of you is just the employees, not elected officials or your department heads. And that total right now is $146,560.18. 18 cents. There's about another 2 million with elected officials, department heads, and other salaries that are not included on this one, on this sheet. So the other packet, you have the budget amount. We budgeted $9.4 million almost. If this increase went into effect, our budget projected would be 8.9, so we're still about 400,000, 500,000 under budget. Ideally, we should be at 27%. We're at 34% on the budget, and that's the last page of that paperwork that you got in the budget form. We have 7 pay periods left. Estimated cost for those 7 pay periods would be around $50,000 if the board would adopt this policy in these amounts that are listed. Currently, we have surpassed our budget amount of revenue collected for taxes by $430,000. That's thanks to the hard work of the Tax Commissioner, Deanne Cruz, and her staff. I think she's at a 99% collection rate for this year. And I think she's up above 95 to 97% on last year. So she has done a tremendous job collecting revenue for us. And if we adopted those same budget for next year, we would have plenty of money to cover these increases. Based off projections, just looking at the tax digest that's coming in, you're looking at probably another $500,000-$600,000 minimum of revenue coming in next year, mainly due to the growth in the northern part of the county. The investment account roughly has $254,000 worth of income for this year alone. With 4 months left, I project $80,000 to $100,000 to come in on investments based off the fund balance sitting in there, mainly because the feds have determined the freeze rates currently. To consumers, that's a bad thing, but for us in investment, we're getting a good investment on the funds that are sitting in the investment pool. So out of the $50,000, the investment fund would pay for that $50,000, and we still would have $200,000. And by year end, it'd be roughly around $300,000 in our investment was what I'm projecting. And we do have department heads here that if you like to ask them a question about their departments and the raises, the projections, like Public Works. I'm not a Public Works guy. I can't tell you what an equipment operator does. I think Mary's here, Fire Chief's here, because I can't tell you what the EMS and paramedic does. And I know that's some of the issues on how do we determine these things. So department heads are here to answer any questions that the board may have related to this.
I got one question. So you mentioned recommending 2.5% for 2025. We're not committing to that's the number in this.
No.
Okay.
That would be, and I ran that estimate in the action paper. I'm roughly guessing that's going to be about 170,000. Last year it was $160,877 at the 2.5% merit.
It's just for comparative purpose.
Yes.
There. Okay. Because we may could do more. I don't want to lock in.
Correct. And it's a pleasure of the board if they want to do a more than 2.5% merit. They want to do a COLA increase later in the year with the merit. It's the pleasure of the board, whatever the board decides, we'll be happy to run the numbers and see what they come out to be. But like I mentioned, I've reached back out to elected officials and department heads yesterday and today. They reconfirmed everything that I sent to them, and they have stated they all agree that that is a fair and what they believe adequate wage for the employees in their department.
And I did hear from the sheriff's office. He said he is 100% behind this and what you presented to them.
I think this is one of the most, if not the most positive advancement in Meriwether County in a long time. It took a lot of hard work from you guys to get there, and I'm excited for it. So I'm glad to hear they're accepting it the way it is, and we can continue to grow it from there.
As a department head, I'd like to say John has done a great job in getting with all of us as a group and individually to see what our needs are and where we expect our needs to be in the future. And this pay scale that he's come up with seems to be the fairest way for all of us, and be able to keep our employees that we are training so hard.
Yeah.
So, yeah, this is just a great opportunity. John's done a great job doing it.
Yes, he has.
Absolutely.
Before I was even gonna call for a motion on this, I was gonna say the same thing. Thanks to everybody that was involved with it. Thanks for the department heads who reached out. I reached out to some of them myself just to get input. And Danny Stevens had great input, and like Brian said, the sheriff. So it's been a thing, but I can assure you what you're seeing from where we're talking. This board, since day one of last year, all 5 of us, our number one goal was focusing is the employees and the folks that work for this county and represent us have got to get up to scale and be able to survive with their families in the society or the country we live in now with inflation and rates and so forth. So it may not be as much as everybody would hope for, but at least we're trying to go in the right direction. And like you even made a comment, I could even do more. And if we can, we'll fight for it. So with all that being said, if no one else got any questions to add to it.
Just one statement.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Deanne, for making sure that we have the money to do it.
That's, we need the money to pay it.
And just last note on this, Commissioner, what you see on here, the department head may decide to go a step below, but this was just the higher amount. I mean, Public Works I use, for example, I didn't know they came up with an entry level position. So if that employee was not at that entry level, they are on this pay scale that's presented in front of you. So that's showing that we're moving and committed to get our employees to the dollar amount they should be making at what we're currently hiring at if they're not at that amount.
With all that being said, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Craig Gibb, second. You second? Ryan, all in favor?
Thank you,
Congratulations for all your
Commissioner.
hard work. Number 4, discussion and direction of space allocation for county buildings.
Yes, sir. I'm going to back up and do a little bit of history just so we know where we're at, and kind of gives us an idea of what we need to do in the form of a motion when we're getting into this. Back in August 22nd, there was a motion that passed to allocate the space at the Old Pathways main building to the Sheriff's and Election Office. Pending any funding needed, we'll need to come back before the board. Sheriff later said he wasn't really interested in that building, but at that point, that's how we have it allocated. On February 14th, 2024, there were some discussions about how elections could possibly go to the DFAX building instead. We got down to the motion, and Chairman, you stated that you understand we need approval to do paperwork and whatnot to get bids on the roof of the courthouse jail and get something going with the elections. Mr. Theron stated that was correct, and a motion was made, and to move forward with getting prices and quotes for the courthouse and jail only at that time. So what I would say we do, and we'll come back around to the motion, I will get back into some other information, but in moving forward, when we get to the end of this, I would recommend we make a motion to allocate the Pathways building solely to the elections, that we bid it out so that we know actual costs and we can plan around those. And we also set a targeted timeline. Targeted doesn't mean we will absolutely make it, but it means, that's our goal. I think the need for this is that we obviously need a better place for elections. We're going to need to grow in space a bit because we're going to have the sheriff's department coming out of the jail at some point and nothing else going in. We need to pick up some square footage somewhere. Mr. Theron has skills that most people in local government don't in putting these things out. He's going to be retiring soon, so we could take advantage of that. In the meantime, we're paying a pretty good rent there for elections as well, so that's a reason to go ahead and get this piece moving. And then we can set a work session I would recommend to talk about the rest of the pieces and how we move everybody around and get the rest of it figured out. Now, as far as the money aspect, we have in the general fund special projects, which moved over, I'm standing in my microphone, from ARPA via doing the allocating as revenue loss or standard allocation. That was they used one term and then changed it. Use another term because that's what government does. But we have $3,500,227. I'm sorry, $3,527,159.15. This would require a budget amendment though. In SPOST, we have $333,073.32, where we estimate we will have that unallocated by June 27th when the next amount of money comes in. Yeah, next allocation comes in. We also have the fund balance as well, which would be going to pay for this. That one would also require a budget amendment. Probably don't want to use the investment income because we were looking at using that for other purposes such as employee incentives and whatnot. So that I think is the plan we need to put together as far as a motion and potential revenue sources and where we go from here. Mr. Theron can also lay out some on the projected timeline and which one y'all want to choose.
Let me ask something for Theron does, because you said let's allocate the pathway building solely, so there are multiple buildings there.
As far as the minutes go, and as for the records from our official record keeper, thank you for those. It was allocated to both the elections and the sheriff's department. And the sheriff's department later said, you know, they weren't didn't want to be in that building. Right. But we need to make a motion to.
My question is though, if we do the entire pathways to election, that leaves a lot of additional buildings. So we probably need to label those A, B, and maybe C at there, and then allocate based on those.
It's really the
areas.
western half.
Right.
You know, if you kind of cut it down the middle, it's the western half.
Just to make sure I have it clear in the minutes, I'm talking about the main building, what we've been calling the main building, not.
Well, that's what I was
But
going to
there's a
mention.
split
I was just
there.
trying to give y'all time to get
Right.
finished talking to, I don't know why we keep referring to it as pathways and we just refer to it as a county address instead of pathways, because that's what was there, right?
Yes, sir.
Pathways.
That's what was
So
there.
we got an address there, and then the same thing I was going to mention, we got to allocate a certain area and not just say the pathways building, because if that's in the motion, then the whole building is for election. So we got to, like he was stating, break it down.
Right, main building or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, and I think that building is clearly delineated of the really, if you're facing it from the road, the right side is to elections, and the other side was the sheriff, but it's kind of undetermined now. And the project we're talking about is, initially anyway, is the right side of the building, which will house the elections, both elections. You guys were initially presented with a timetable of like July, and I think it's stretched out to some things we could do by September. But the only thing we'd be able to do by September would just be to piecemeal what we could get down there. A better plan would, in my opinion, would be to, let's shoot for, I think, right at the first of next year, maybe before March. And what we could do is we could go ahead and redraft a bid proposal, bring some people in to take a look at it. In the meantime, we could continue utilizing our staff on rainy days that don't have aren't tied up with the projects, just to reduce some of the costs that's there. And then we bring in a contractor that we have a mandatory pre-bid meeting where they all come in and take a look at what needs to be done. And then what we'll have is a true project, estimate and a project amount. When we tried to do it before, we were on a really tight timeline, and when you go with a tight timeline, your pricing is going to go up. So that price was way out of line. I would imagine we're going to come in at hopefully less than half of that this time around. But it is something that we just need some direction on it. That's not our priority. We just need to know what it is. And one of the things that, and I'm sure Jerry's going to mention this, but about this time next year, we've talked about T-SPLOST tonight. You guys are going to need to be talking about SPLOST, because it's going to come back up for renewal as well. And the thing with SPOS, this could be a big component of it. So we need to talk about what we want to do with space, because we talked about moving to various buildings, trying to create space. Everybody right now is spaces at a premium. I think we've got sufficient space. We just got to make it usable. And so I think, there needs to be a meeting fairly soon to talk about, let's do this, let's do that. Have a built-in plan of what we want to do with a priority of where those projects are. And then, of course, that gives staff something to be able to work towards. So, and I would say again, if we look at it at the right side of the pathways to go to elections, let's try to shoot for before March of 25. That doesn't mean wait till then. What I'd like to do is go ahead and get started, get that bid out, and get the completion set by that date. That gives them plenty of time to do it. There's several aspects of it, not only the carpentry work that needs to be done, floors and walls or whatever. There's also security and low voltage things that have to be put in, and security is really critical. So that's kind of the timeline on it. We're just hoping to get some direction from you guys.
Any of the commissioners have any questions or concerns at this time?
Yeah, what exactly are we asking for? It's not very clear as to what exactly we're asking for a motion to be made on to me.
I guess Jared, Jared, tell you better than me.
I'm gonna say, look back around when we got to the motion. I was gonna suggest that we allocate the main building, whatever you want to call it, solely to elections. We bid out the work so we know the expenses.
Let me say this to you. The reason I question the buildings there are two. There's a hallway separating. Even this is an address and we are building B. So I think we need to designate that particular, it is one address, building A, B, and maybe building C.
Right.
So that when we make these motions, it is very specific. Yes. And even when elections or whoever goes into these buildings, we need their elections, Meriwether County, such and such address, building B. So we need that section out. If we do the entire main building, that's two big buildings, but they are separated by hallway. So we need to have A, B, or C. It needs to be designated.
Yeah, that's true. That is confusing.
Yeah, I agree.
Sorry.
And I guess
I just don't want us to screw up.
Look for is I guess direction from the board. If you want to consider and look at moving the elections into that portion of the building we discussed, I think what we need to do is go ahead and rescope our project list and what we need a contractor to do, because some of the walls have been removed. There's some other stuff we can do in-house. All of that brings that cost down. It doesn't cost us a lot to do it in-house, and when we get to a certain stage that we feel like this is all we can do, or our public builders could give us an estimate, what I'd like to do at that point is to develop that bid package and go out for bids with instead of a tight timeline, let's say a February of 2025 deadline. And then, of course, when those come back in, they come back to the board for a yes or no. If it's too high, you don't feel like we can do it, hey, that's fine, the scope could be cut back or whatever. And, we can move forward with it. But nothing really would be done until you guys, other than putting the program together, until you guys had gave the blessing of the dollar amount to come back.
Right. And with that being said, there's no way you'd be done by September, no how, because
no.
From what I've learned sitting up here, it
I mean,
2 or 3
really,
months just to finally get an
RFP,
answer on something.
You're gonna be a month of time trying to.
That's what I'm saying, to put it out there, and then wait for it to come back, and then bring it to the board, and then there you go, so.
And if there's other projects you guys rather do, again, we need to know. We're just kind of sitting here. I'm on pretty short timetable. I'm willing to help get this thing kicked off and started, but we're gonna really need to have some direction. Or if there's something else you want to get kicked off and started, we can do that too. Just need to know some direction.
I do have a question now. Because we have need for the additional space that's in this particular location. I know we've discussed several other offices that need to be. In my mind, if we're going to push out a timetable, would we save more money to get the bids for what the needs are for these other offices that would be allocated for this location as well? We know we've got problems in certain buildings. And if you're, I mean, and I'm not trying to minimize anything with Patty and elections and all. What I'm saying is, would we be better served? Okay, building A would be whoever, building B would be whoever, and then C. But let's get the bids in for all of the needed things. And there again, we've got people that are needing additional office space that need to have a location where future needs can be met without having to deal with the problems they've got in existing buildings.
Well, some pros and cons on, yes, we probably could get a little bit better price bidding out in bulk. The timeline's gonna be more challenging because they may have to work on completing one building at a time.
And that's true. I understand exactly what you're saying, but at the same time, you don't know until you get your quotes in. If you're moving walls or if you got to do electrical and all, to me, a contractor would be better served to come in and do a total job bid if you're talking about one building or two buildings versus then a half a building. And then you got to come back and get that same contractor to get another bid for the other half of the building. To me, that makes more sense. But I
Not
don't
only
know.
does it make sense, but you're 100% correct, because in that world of subcontractors, what we should be doing, if we even was to say tonight, okay, we want to put the elections office in there, but before we start putting that together, if we know we're going to put Deanne over there or planning and zoning or whoever's going to go over there as a contractor, you come out and go, we need this work in this area, as he said, A, and over here in building B, we're planning on doing this, and that, and then this here, you're gonna save money for the taxpayers all the way around because they're gonna come in and be working on all of it at one time. If you do one building at a time, you're gonna pay way more money.
But we have to make sure that we allocate those buildings specifically to each department, because every single department that we have is going to require different IT, different power, different electrical run, different needs for each one. So it does make sense to bid it out at once, but we have to have it in place as to who is specifically going to be in those buildings, because each department requires different.
And another thing you could do is, if, you know, let's say we bid that entire building, that's what you guys want to do. We could indicate that we need this particular side completed by X date, and let them concentrate on that to have that ready in order that we can meet the state law requirements, and then we can finish up the other. But I do agree that we need to know who's going in the building to be able to do it, because it's hard to just here's the building, take it and use it. Right. And there again, that's kind of where the issue comes with a meeting to talk about space and our priority on it, because that lays a clear path. Because while we got funded to be able to do this, you're not going to have funding to do everything we want to do without your next series of SPLOST. So I think if we can lay those priorities out, then we can say, all right, we got this. John can tell us how much money we got. We get to a point where we don't have enough to do this project, we'll allocate it over the next SPLOST that comes out, and then you got your building allocations there. That's the way I would.
Well, that's one of the main concerns I got, is that right now all we can do is say, you know, we'll put elections in this section of the building. Then we got to wait on quotes to see where it is and can we even afford it. In the meantime, we got to determine who's going where else and what those costs and layouts will be. We're not really accomplishing much other than saying one place is going here. And I have a concern also of, you know, we're using county employees to reduce the contract costs. What does that impact to the rest of the county and the other buildings, the maintenance and infrastructure then that those employees should be doing? Are we deferring that cost now to do it later because we're going to neglect every other building in the county while they're focusing their time over there? So we'll end up paying the same money in the next 2 to 3 years if we'd have just.
When I talk to the guys who are doing the work, I told them, I said, look, you can't do all of this. I understand that, because they were like, well, we can do this, we can do that. I said, because summer's coming on, you're gonna get a lot of HVAC calls, you're gonna get other calls, and things have to be maintained. So you're only gonna be able to do it to a certain point, because you got those other obligations that we don't want to get behind either. So I agree with that. And that's what we try to do to this point, is having worked with didn't have other projects that we did. But again, I think that getting a plan together for where we want to go, we move. See, I mean, we talked about a lot of movement of offices, ultimately going back up and using Patty's office where she is now, after it's remodeled. You've got to, we talked about some other buildings, but you got to have space for people to be in. So there's a little bit of planning that goes to it. And I think that's one of the first things we need to do, is to say, here's our sequence and what we want to do.
So wouldn't it make sense then, all that being said, we know the elections office is probably the priority at the moment because of the voting machines, the security, and what the state requires and so forth. Why wouldn't we just schedule a work session to go ahead and allocate, but do that, but go ahead and make up our mind of what's going here and where this one's going, so their department knows where they're going to be going in the future, and then we start implementing that as we can afford it and do it, and that's the direction we go in, instead of just going, let's do election department, and then pulling our thumbs, what are we going to do with the rest of it? If the board's willing, I'm willing to have a work session, discuss it, and then we have a laid out plan of what's going to happen in the future.
I agree with that.
We both recommended a work session for.
What's that?
So we both recommended a work session for the.
That's what we do.
And I was gonna say something similar too, but we did a tour, this board did right after the new ones came on last year, and we toured the buildings. Yeah, we can see, there's soffit that needs to be replaced and things like that, and doors and stuff too. But we don't know the actual inner workings of every department, what they actually need on a day-to-day basis, what some state requirements, some federal requirements are. We can look at it all day long and say that building looks like hell, let's replace it. But if we're gonna do a work session, then I think there needs to be an internal assessment done of every county building that holds department heads, constitutional officers, things like that. And the input needs to come from those department heads and those constitutional officers, as well as our maintenance people, as well as our administration. And when we have that work session, then we need to come in and look at those as a whole, as to what each department has, what's working well, what's not working well, a wish list possibly. That's kind of relevant but irrelevant at the moment. We need to know, is the space in which you're in working for you at this moment? If so, then we need to go on to the next one that's not working. But we can sit here and guess all day long as a board, but until we have specifics in front of us, we don't know what to make those decisions on.
Well, that's why I was saying a work session, and it was figuring they would participate.
Oh, yeah.
Like
Yeah,
I
we
think
gotta
a few
have
months
that.
ago, somebody was passing something around with some highlighted building and said elections here and this over here of dreams or Christmas gifts that we'd like to have one day. And that's what I'm saying. If we have a work session, they bring it to us, and Cassandra comes and Deanne comes.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm saying, for them to present to us that we all would like to be in this building, whether, we may not approve it or we may, but they could give us the idea of what they think works best for the department.
And there's some offices need to be
Well, I think
kind
it's
of
good
grouped
to
together.
get, like you said, that the more work you get done, but it might take us 2 or 3 months to figure out what we're gonna do, and we need to move forward, because we're gonna be further and further behind on getting the election office done.
No, we were saying elections priority.
Yeah.
In that work session, we'll go ahead and whenever y'all's ready, whenever they require it, start to move forward with elections in that west side, building A, whatever it is. I'm just saying, also in that work session, we can start focusing on these other buildings that are falling apart, and these people are, mold and mildew, the tax assessment. I mean, it's time for us to have it laid out.
Yeah, I agree. And that helps the staff so much in where we need to go and the priority. What we would do that at the West Building or whatever we call it, we would get to a point where I wouldn't want to wait. I want to go ahead and start putting that RFP together and getting it out. And what we'll do is we'll meet with our staff and say, okay, what's the last thing you can do? And I think they've done probably just about all they can do now. And so if there's a few more things they can do, we can just tell the contractor when they come in for the pre-bid, this is going to be taken care of by the county. And then we go ahead and get the bids in. And then while all that's in the work, we meet and talk about what we're going to do with the rest of it. And I agree with the department heads meeting together. They need to know. Some of them need to be grouped together. Some of them may not want to be in a back building over here. Some may need to be on the square.
If this board is ready, and we're all talking about it, I don't see why we can't allocate that west side to elections department, if that's what everybody's wanting to do, and that's what we're planning on doing. I'm just saying, and then follow that up with a work session of what we're gonna do with the rest of the building.
Absolutely.
So
And
we
the
have,
rest of other buildings too. We got a lot of them out there.
kind of how, when y'all put that comprehensive plan together for the whole county, well, we figured to put a comprehensive plan on where we're gonna put our staffs.
That's a good thing.
That's 1A and 1B. 1A was, the pay scale that we were doing for employees. 1B is, work environment and atmosphere.
Right.
They go hand in hand, and we got to get it done. That was why we started those conversations over a year ago.
Yeah.
But we got to do it the right way. It took us a long time to get to the pay scale and get it right.
But we got it right.
We got to get this right too. We can't go into this, half-cocked and waste money or time and then frustrate people even more.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can I ask the board if somebody like to make a motion to allocate that west side, whether it's building A, building B, or whoever it's gonna be, or I guess we need to put a name on it and the address, to allocate that to the election department so we can start moving forward on RFPs and everything else we're gonna need to meet the 2025 deadline.
And if you guys could with that, or just we'd have good direction, is just request staff move forward with developing an RFP for that project, with the understanding we'll bring back the proposals.
Yeah, we definitely want that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just saying allocate, because it says here to allocate county buildings, other allocate it, so it's
Yeah.
done, it's confirmed.
Right.
Theron, what is the process, and I don't know if Cassandra can chime in, what is the process in indicating buildings as specific? Because it is one address. So
Yeah.
like here it is building B. We can say West Building all day long, but that's not gonna matter when it comes down to it. Do we need to go in and vote to distinguish those as building A, building B, and building C at that address?
I would say is if you guys just ask us to assign an address that would indicate each one, let us work with the post office. Yeah. B, C. Yeah. And the back building may need its own address. I don't
That would
know.
have its own, because it would need to become a separate building.
Yes, right.
The main address on the building y'all are talking about is 756 Woodbury Road.
And we could do suite 1, suite 2, and then, or AB or whatever. And then the back building, we probably need to
And as for the
readdress.
back one, which I like is,
A separate address?
would have to be a separate address, because it's a separate building.
Yeah.
So it could be, like 7, but this is 756, that one, it would be like maybe 760 or something.
So in our motion, we'll designate suite A and B in this motion
Then
also.
you would have A and B, because it's.
Yeah.
Or suite A and B.
We can take care of that.
And the front one could be A, B, C, or A, D.
Yeah. That'll help too, we put together RFP, because I'll just put together whichever suite number we're working on right now. Okay. I'll turn it back over to Jerry.
Sorry. I think y'all nailed it. Can I make a motion?
Well, I'll make a motion to designate 756 Woodbury Road, Suite B, which is by definition the western side, as the future location for elections, and allow staff to go out for RFP for the work that needs to be done.
I'll second it.
You got a second? All in favor? Awesome.
Now we
I
decided.
think the western side should be Suite A.
It's gonna be Suite B.
It's called Suite A.
Before, it's gonna be B.
Now, do we need to go ahead and
A
set
would
the
be for
work
Auburn,
session?
that B is for Bulldog.
That's pretty good.
Yes, and we.
Right.
All right, with all that being said, then would the board like to set up a date to have a work session to follow up and give the other department heads time to, I guess, get with us and give us their input of what, so forth? Huh?
Yes.
What's that?
Well, Jared and Theron, Blue, how long do y'all think it would take to get the department heads to be able to compose what they want to present at a work session?
I would say with the other, we probably need 3-4 weeks to get everybody together, and because we're gonna first of all have to come up with what we've got, building wise. So I would say give us at least least 3 weeks.
Mr. Chair, before y'all put anything else on the table, the clerk is letting me know that she does not think y'all actually took a vote, or if she did, she didn't record it. She only has a motion and a second, but she doesn't have a vote.
Yeah, Adam did the motion, I did the second.
Adam made a motion. Brian second. All in favor?
Just make
Patty,
sure we
start
got
packing.
it.
The only thing I didn't say was a completion date. I didn't get that in there, but.
We'll go. I'll get with Patty, I think it's needs to be the.
I forgot that.
What did we did before y'all's second meeting in July, you came in about 4 o'clock.
Sounds good.
And that way you're already here, I've given you.
I won't be here, but that's fine.
You won't be here?
That's the one I'm going out of town. But the rest of those buildings, we're not gonna start working on them ASAP.
No,
So
we're just gonna.
we got a
talk about
special
what we-
call July 2nd already.
Right.
Will you be here the day before?
We could do that in August sometime just to start getting that plan out there. Right now, was the elections office, start getting the numbers together, and
Will you be here the day before?
What about the day before?
22nd Monday?
I can be here the day before.
We can do it the day before.
Yeah, I can do, yeah, that's fine. And y'all can do it without me. I was just letting you know, I won't be here.
Well, a lot of times everybody's input if we can.
Fine with me.
So,
It makes it easy to have this.
So we need that in the motion, right?
And that's gonna be,
Are
July
you
what?
making it?
I can.
All right.
I was just trying to.
I'm just
clear it up.
ready to move this along.
So I make a motion, we set a work session for the discussion and direction of space allocation for county buildings for July 24th at 4 p.m.
I'll second it.
22nd.
Second.
July 22nd at 4 p.m.
Yep, I'll second it. I'll second it.
all right, 4 p.m. Thank y'all.
No, we didn't vote.
All right.
No, I'll write my notes down too.
All in favor?
Oh, we're cheating.
Come on now.
All right, got a motion, got a second, all in favor? Good, all right, good, we got a work session. I make the other department heads excited. All right. Let's see. Number 4, discussion of the courthouse roof proposals.
Back up.
Wait a minute. New business.
Wait, I missed something, I'm sorry. I had made a note here and I had an arrow there, so I went straight to it. Yeah, we done allocation. Now we're going into new business. Number 1, airport entrance road.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, the airport is asking for a local match for the federal grant. Mr. Russell McCoy is here to speak on behalf of the airport. The amount of the local match will be $68,031.95. Yeah, $68,031.95 for the local match of the grant.
Commissioners, staff, that sippy cup doesn't mean a thing, I just get dry. But the reason I'm filling in tonight, Mr. Mike Watson has been in the dentist chair all day, and he's probably about to stage what's the matter with it. The Eberleys could not be with us, our engineering staff. So it looks like it's failed to me. Today, I'm assisted or have with me Mr. Bob Gordon, who is on the Airport Authority, as well as Mr. Doug Powles, who's on the Airport Authority. And Mr. Greg Arnett, local pilot, came in to help support us. So always good to see the people out in the county come in. Now, what I have in front of me, you should not need copies of. What you have in your package should suffice. One of the things I want to say about the airport, just to give you a good flavor of authority and what this means, we have been working for some time to get to the point that we are. There was an airport authority. I don't guess we manned the thing till around the 1990s, but of course the paperwork and everything was here to do the authority. What does the authority do? Well, y'all know that we run the airport basically. We will look after the maintenance. We help with the planning. We have an engineering staff that continues to work with us, but there's more to it. The airport authority is actually a conduit that helps us bring dollars dollars that have been paid on aviation fuel, which is a substantial amount of money, comes back from the FAA through our local DOT and back to the county. And you'll see here, and I'll give you just a quick preview, what we're asking and what we're looking at for this project only covers 10, 12%. I think it is at the max. So you'll see that figure in there. Do we have a master plan? Yes, we do. And we talked about that a little bit just a minute ago. One of the things that's needed terribly is a taxiway, a full-length taxiway there. But the powers that be have had us getting ready for it for some time, but we haven't been granted the taxiway yet or the money to do so. Now, anytime we want to jump in with our own money, I mean, that would be fine, but this is for getting assistance from the FAA as well as from GDOT Georgia. Another thing is we're getting ready and putting this entrance road in, grading. There will be a road, paved, surfaced, put in. Everything will be on grade. And at that point, we can come back and look at building a building to serve the airport, as well as equipping the thing where it can help serve Meriwether County. But we having to take these steps to get to that point at this time. We're not allowed just to jump around and do the best that we see fit. We have to have the ruling heads, those that issue the money, they have to be involved. And right now, there is quite a bit of involvement by the DOT on doing this project. Well, what's their interest? Well, they don't like the road that we have. That old road that exists down there was partially the prison road, was used for the airport, but it comes right across the road from Crowder Road. And as you come over the rise, you're right there on two roads. So they want to move the entrance to the airport. And if y'all understand, if you're looking at the blue hangar and all that behind it, just go straight back to the road. That's where it will be. Of course, mostly it's just getting it graded and getting it down where it needs to be. The figures that we have at this time, if you will, and I think y'all all have this, if you'll look at that sheet, the project is a $575,000 project. The federal share is $487,834.95. The state, the DOT is in there with $19,133.60, leaving our share somewhere between 10 and 12%. I did know, but I've forgotten. $68,031.95 is what we will get from the project that we're looking at, or what we will have to actually pay is going to be the 68 and getting about $575,000 worth of work done there. I was going to say more. Oh yeah. And you probably will all also notice on some of the paperwork there that this thing has been funded out of fiscal year 21, fiscal year 22, and fiscal year 23, accumulating the number of dollars that we need to do the project. I told you why I think the DOT is involved in wanting, because they would like to see that a little safety thing taken care of. But by the same token, we have talked to the contractor and said, hey, we know this was let last year. Would you be willing to meet us for what I just quoted y'all right there? And it is a go-ahead. We were looking at trying to get this thing started maybe August. Everything complete. This time next year, we're going to have everything in place, grass planted and everything else, So barring nothing happening, this fall is going to be our best opportunity, or the quicker we could get this thing underway, the better off we would be for the project. Now, I'm sure I left something out, but is there questions for me?
I have a couple.
Sure.
So assume we're going with McCoy Grading,
There were 3 contractors and they want the bid.
but the bid here is for $516,855, but we're saying the total cost is $575. The only difference is lead edges cost and utilities, and I don't see any quote for utility work.
Well, they have removed basically all of their design costs from here. And I'm not real sure what he is calling the construction phase there. I'm sure there's a certain amount of stuff they'll have to go down and supervise and look after. That's normally the way it works, Commissioner. We don't go down and actually watch the contractors. Leading Edge does. That's their job.
Okay, I'm just curious if that, those totals doesn't match up.
That is the only reason I can give you that.
Okay.
And there may be sheets around here where it does match up. This was kind of hastily done and put together.
I know, so the next couple of questions really put you on the spot, not intended to.
Sure.
But the last project the county got involved with the airport authority, we ended up having to pay significantly extra funds after the fact for increased costs.
It was a very different flavor project there. That was what Meriwether County was doing essentially, was those hangars. This is being well supported with federal and state dollars.
Well, I understand, and I can get to the question of, so
Okay.
the basis of the increased cost was inflation because of how long it took to get materials, get them in, get the project completed.
Well, that's, yeah.
So do we have is this quote good for a certain period of time?
My understanding is that it is, yes.
Okay, and then
If they can get started quickly, yeah.
Yeah, and is there a timeline for it to be completed? I would just like to see some kind of agreement. Committing to $68,000 is not much, but we did that before.
Right.
And then came back and had to commit to, I want to say around $300,000. And we're
Well-
still paying for it. I don't want to get on the hook for that again.
Right.
I think we need some sort of, this quote is good for X number of days, and the work will be completed in X number of days for $68,000.
Well, there's got to be a completion date. I think it's September of next year. I think it's got to be that close. So we've got to have something done and complete.
Mr. McCoy,
Now that's,
September next year, it's gotta be completed.
Because some of these, I don't have that, so that's why I'm asking.
Oh, okay. I don't know that I have that.
Yeah, that's what I say.
It's not in your packet, Commissioner. I just remember when
Yeah.
Bill presented at the airport authority, he did state that September of 2025, the project had to be completed by, or the grant will be.
In other words, that's totally drop dead. Everything else got to be complete.
You got another question for us, Mike?
No, sir, I'll wait.
Are all the hangars rented out in full at this time?
At this time, yes, sir.
And is there, I know it sounds good that, wow, the federal put 400 and some thousand, state, we don't put 68,000. But as he was saying, the project y'all did before we came on board, and the board agreed to co-sign or backed along, however that worked. And then y'all had to come back because somebody just didn't dot their i's and cross the t's, and we had to get another 300,000. And then if I'm not mistaken, just a month or two ago, we had to approve to pay another additional 58,000 that got left out of
Well, I
retained
can't-
or something that was invoicing.
Yeah.
All right, and is the county still having to help subsidize the monthly payments?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman.
So airport authority is not even able to cover all their own bills at this time.
Well, I think you're right when you look at this $68,000 going in there. No, but we do have, we have a pretty good mortgage there we're looking at too.
Yeah, no.
As far as
Yeah, it turned out
the
to be
bank
bigger
is
than what I
concerned,
thought.
yes.
Okay. And there's that much traffic. I mean, anytime, whether it happens now, the board approves, or whether it happens, like I said, 21 to 22 to 23, whether it happens now, later, but there's that much traffic going in and out to do an entrance at this time? Because you followed it up with.
There's a pretty
then
good
we could
amount
do
of
another
traffic.
Building, and we got a big mortgage now, we're subsidizing the payment, so I don't even know why we'd be focusing on another building until we got down to check and balance.
Well, the only thing, the building we're talking about would be an admin building, not another hangar. It looks like we're sitting right on the cusp of a lot starting to take place right there. One of the things that makes our airport so desirable, anybody that's flying out of Coweta or flying out of Falcon Field, if they're training, they're doing acrobatic training, anything of that nature, they come down this way. They don't have the ceiling up there. They can't get up high enough. They're stuck with about 2,500 feet. Down here, we're basically unlimited.
Talking about flying in and out.
No, I'm talking about up and down.
That's what I'm saying, but they're not coming in the driveway. I'm trying to understand what you're telling me. All these people flying from here, they're not coming down, driving in the entrance and getting in a plane. You're talking about flying down.
Well, yeah, no, we have all of our patrons that are renting from us. Yeah, they drive in. They come in daily. Yeah, I wouldn't have thought you'd ask me about the amount of cars on the runway. Okay, I mean on the driveway.
People have planes, like in Peachtree City Airport, where I do a lot of work. There's people coming there being dropped off in limousines. There's people coming there being dropped off. They're in there like they're catching a flight, like Atlanta Airport hub. There's a lot of activity. I'm saying, are we getting to that point where there's a lot of activity, or is it just hobby and pleasure planes going in?
Well, no, you're going to see more and more people coming to that airport. It just depends. If we could get a fixed-based operator there full time, I think you'd see a major change. And I think we're right on the cusp of that, because it looks like Richard's wanting to come this way pretty quick.
Mr. McCoy, I have a question for you.
Sure.
So with GDOT putting in the $500,000+ and we matching 12%, is this something that GDOT is pretty much mandating that has to be done because of the entrance off of the main highway?
No, they haven't come along and really put a mandate, but they've made it pretty clear. You do this, or your funds in the future are going to be awfully slim.
Right. And they do have a lot of control.
That's the way they work.
Right.
Oh, they have how they feel about you and your airport.
Right.
Has a tremendous amount. There's only X number of dollars that come out in a lot of airports out there that's wanting it. And the only people they help, of course, are counties or municipalities that own those airports.
Right.
Private airports don't get anything like this.
Right. That's what I was trying to get at.
Yeah, that's exactly right. If we've got to stay up with them as much as we can to keep them throwing hay in the field there.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but this is just one of multiple projects, and this is long range. This is not something that we just started.
That's right.
This has been laid out for years.
Right.
For the growth and the development of the airport.
Right.
Because to me, this is what we're building for the future.
That's exactly right.
We've got the historical factor, but we've also got the potential for huge amount of growth relative to the airport and what it can serve the southern end of the county, but also the north end of the county as well. I mean.
Well, exactly. There's another thing here and some of the pilots can address it better than I can, but I'm getting wind of this more and more. We've traditionally used the hub and spoke. Everybody here has to go to Atlanta Hartsfield to go anywhere, that sort of thing. That may be changing somewhat in the future. I've even heard plans, like if we had a building down here, an admin building, people could plan, everybody could want to, how many people could you get together for Thursday? 10 or 12 folks, and somebody would come pick you up and taxi you.
To Atlanta.
To Atlanta, Jacksonville, they could be just as quickly there in Birmingham as they could in Atlanta.
Thank you.
So that is, we really don't know what all the future holds with aviation at this point. They will be changing somewhat, I'm sure.
I would just ask them questions, so when I get asked, I got the answers. I agree with y'all, and anytime you can put 68,000 out and get 500,000, that'd be all over it like white on rice.
Yeah.
But I was just wanting to make sure that this time, they're not gonna come back later and go, well, We need another 60,000, 80,000, 150,000 like
Right.
the last time, because that was just a bad.
Well,
that's all.
that's the concern there, is that this is a one-time match grant. We can
Yeah.
motion that as such. The concern is that, Michael, correct me if I'm wrong, that the airport authority, if the bill comes in higher and they don't have the funds to match it, then the county's gonna be responsible for it.
That is true.
And we need something in that contract that protects us from that, because this specific contractor has done it once before. I wouldn't be surprised if they do it again. We cannot
I
afford
don't
that kind of
anticipate that,
activity.
but yeah, that's always a possibility, I suppose.
Well, because of additional work and this and that and so forth, what he's saying, or what I think I'm hearing. But
I mean,
Yeah.
And I understand what you're saying. At the end of the day, as Shirley Hines used to say, it's ultimately the county's property.
Well, it
is.
is.
It's overseen by an authority, and that authority is appointed by the county. But even if the airport goes bottom up, any debts that they have automatically turn over to us anyway.
You're absolutely right.
So, giving 68,000, 12% on a 500 and something thousand that GDOT's wanting, and that will actually help in the allocations in the future for FAA money coming down, or it could decrease it if we don't do it, because it is highly recommended by
Right.
GDOT. Then I do think we have to look at it, because any property in the county, no matter what authority it's under, is actually under the rule of this governing authority.
So, and I agree, and I think we should do it, but how do we word in the contract with the vendors, protect ourselves against that with
That they
dates on
need
the
to
core
have-
completion dates? There's gotta be something there, because maybe it was a one time in our lifetimes that happened, but my God, that was a lot of
I
money
agree.
and too big to take a risk of doing again.
I agree.
And it was way too much money for what we got.
Before this even came today, I think Jerry and John and I talked about it, and whether or not it need to be rebid or whatever, and our quote was not if they will honor the prices, and they have indicated they honor the prices.
They will honor, yeah.
What you guys could do is put a not to exceed amount.
Sure.
Because you won't pay more than that.
Well, who's doing that though? The airport authority or this board?
You guys need to do that.
Yeah.
You need to put in that you
Okay,
will
put on
allocate
the
a up to, do not exceed the, whatever the $1,000.
68,000.
Yeah,
So when did y'all-
because,
So there's no way they can spend it without, they have to come back here, and you guys don't have to approve it.
well, I think that would be the safest way that Theron just described, because if we start monkeying with that contract and that bid that was turned in, I only see it going one way, and that's up.
Probably can't get a timetable.
Yes.
Right. Any other questions?
What is the percentage that Lead Edge Design Group, what are they being paid for all this?
Well, it's not a percentage, it's what
I
they
didn't say
do at the
percentage. I
time.
want- Like the last time a guy came in and said, y'all still owe me.
Well, he
Remember
did, but if
the
you'll notice
engineer-
on this one, he struck it.
What's that?
There's not a price, there's not a charge from Leading Edge on that paperwork at all, for other than going out there and looking at the contractors.
That's what I'm
No
saying.
design charges, no nothing.
Who is Lead Edge? I'm just asking.
Okay, that's the
Lead Edge
Everleys
Design Group?
primarily.
Huh?
Phil and, what's his wife's name? Whitney. Phil and Whitney Everly. They're both engineers, and they both do the drawings. And they do a lot more than that. When I say engineering staff, when you start with the airport, as far as all the FAA, the EPA, every regulation out there, they work us through that minefield. That's what they get paid to do, is make sure we can get from point A to point B.
No, that's what I'm saying. This is so small, I can't read it. I'm just saying, what's the fee for the engineering cost on all this?
They're not charging us anything.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners,
One thing he's saying is during the construction phase, they charge
Yeah.
$29,400 to supervise construction.
But what that is for, Gene, is them to come out and actually spend their time, their energy to
that's
come
right.
out and see what's going on with those contractors.
Yeah, y'all
Yeah,
need that,
right.
without a doubt. I just remember the last project, the engineer came before us, and all of a sudden there was another bill
Yeah.
that the airport authority did not realize they owed him $100 and some thousand dollars.
Right.
So I just wanted to.
That we paid him to watch over and catch and then did.
Right. So I'm just making sure, but I think it's
Sure.
a great idea, and I'd love to see Meriwether progress. I'm just watching out for that dollar.
Mr. Chairman
Well,
and
gentlemen,
Commissioners,
with that being said,
I've been in
and Ms.
contact-
Rosler,
Thank you.
Leave it in your hands.
I've been in contact with Phil over and over again to reassure that the only match was the $68,000. And he has confirmed multiple times that is the local match. They are getting paid during the DBE process when they go out and inspect. He has waived his design fees because I've informed Phil, I would like to come to the board with a dollar amount. I don't want to come back 6 weeks later and say it's $100,000 additional. We need a flat dollar fee. And the only thing he kind of questioned was the utility. And like, I agree with Darren, you know, I would put a cap on it not to exceed $75,000, just to have that small little buffer in there, just to have it. But Phil has reassured me that it is only the local match of $68,031.95 repeatedly.
Then let's not exceed that. If we set a 75, they're gonna spend 75. They'll come back, oh yeah, we did have $6,800 working.
And I've been only, I need a true dollar amount on a good faith.
Well, I know when they put a match fund of 68, that's not going to change. My concern is right there where it's, the contractor is $855.50.
And I've talked
That
to.
the authority gets it in writing, a solid contract,
Yes,
that
sir.
it will not be more.
And I've talked to Mr. Sinclair at McCoy Grading, and he has said that he will honor that.
That's all I'm asking for.
Yep.
And we can get those, if the board approves that amount, we can get those contracts written and get that in, because I think McCoy can get in August timeframe if the board approves the local match.
Do I have a motion from the board?
I make a motion to go ahead and approve the local match of $68,031.95 to the airport authority for the airport entrance road,
And I'll make that second, not to exceed that amount.
not to exceed, I'm sorry.
Got a motion second, all in favor?
Thank you,
There you
Commissioner.
go. Thank you.
Cross your toes and fingers on
All
that.
right, and number 2, public works surplus of equipment and vehicles.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Public Works is starting the process of cleaning up and updating the shop and shop yard. We have identified 10 damaged or crashed or otherwise unneeded, unoperable vehicles, and we are asking permission to surplus the 10 that are on the list in front of you today. What we'll do is we'll just put it out for a sealed bid. Whoever gives us the highest bid will get all 10 vehicles, and then we will be done with them. Each of the bids will have a bid guarantee with it, so that way the winning bidder does come and pick up their bid.
Which 10 of the 14 in front of us are you wanting to do that with?
It should be 10 that possibly could be 14.
Well, wait a minute now.
Which one is it?
Not 10-5, we're 14.
14. It's 14 instead of 10. And so basically, we're just asking permission to scrap the unneeded material so that we can clean up the yard.
Any questions?
So there are no components on any of these vehicles that could be salvaged for any other existing vehicles that are functioning?
No, sir. No, sir. This first batch, the vehicles that are from 97 to 06, I mean, they're just, or 80, actually 89 to 06. No, sir, they're not.
Anybody else got a question?
But it says on here that they're gonna haul it to the scrap yard, so.
Yeah, that was one of the options that we were looking at is actually scrapping them ourselves and taking them to the yard. But we thought by taking bids, it would be a little more open, a little more accessible, and possibly get some more money. Of course, if no viable bids come in or it gets left, then we would need to crush them and haul them off to a scrap yard.
So that would have to be advertised?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. The whole process.
Is the intent to sell them at the scrap yard for the value of the?
No, sir, the intent is just to get rid of
them.
them the easiest way possible. We figured putting them out for bid and then having someone come and get them would be the easiest. If that doesn't happen, then we'll haul them off.
And did you say it would be a guaranteed bid? I mean, there's someone bids on it, they gonna buy them?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We're gonna ask
They're
that.
committed to buy it, what I'm saying.
Yes, sir.
My opinion is I like to see you make money off of it somehow. Let somebody bid on them. If they could use them, we get a little money. If not, then we crush them and sell them as recycled material and
Yes,
get a
sir.
little money that way also.
Absolutely.
Not just throw them away.
Oh, no, sir, no. We would scrap them and get something from them.
Any other questions?
Just reading that last line there, see if I had a question, but I don't guess so.
So I'll make a motion, we allow Public Works to put out for bid the 14 unused vehicles. And if so not obtained, to salvage the 14 vehicles at whatever cost they can achieve.
Second.
All in favor?
Thank you.
All right. We moved number 3, so we're at number 4, discussion of, was number 3 now, discussion of the courthouse roof proposals.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, we bid out or sent out bids and proposals for the courthouse roof, repairs and replacement. And we had a lot of people attend the pre-bid, but we only received 2 proposals on that. And I have looked at these proposals. They're 2 different methodologies. They all say they'll accomplish the same thing. They're within $11,500 of each other. The reality is, when I look at it, both of them say the same thing. They're just gonna go about it differently. And I'm not well versed enough on roofing to determine whether or not which of these is the best long-term for the county. Both of them have a 20-year warranty. One is you can re-up the warranty for another 10 years. One says it needs no maintenance. The other one says it does. One's gonna replace flashing. One's gonna pull the material over flashing. So I'd like to ask the board 1 or 2 things. If any of you guys feel comfortable with, I'll be happy to sit down with you. We'll look at it as a small committee of the board, or I could go back out and I'll try to get it free, but it might cost me a few pennies to get someone who's well versed in roofing replacements, much better than I, to look at these proposals, and somebody that's not involved in it in any way, and say, if I were you, I'd go with this one. Because I don't have enough to make a determination. If there was $100,000 of difference in it or $50,000 of difference in it, I'd say, yeah, this is the one. There's $11,000 difference in it, and because one, that's the lowest one, said that they would replace some materials on the deck, and it might need replacing. They haven't included that cost. They may become the high bid. So I just don't know until I can get someone to help me take a look at this. And so I'd like to ask the board to authorize us to be able to do that, and I'll keep the minimum down. I'll try to get it free, but if I can't, it might cost a couple $1,000s or so to get an engineer to look at it. I think I can probably get some people to review it, since it's only 2 bids for little or nothing. And that way, you'll have another opinion other than mine, because I'm not an expert on roofing materials. And so that would be what I'd like to ask, and I'll get this back to you guys at your next meeting with a recommendation from them to move forward.
So we need to make a motion to allow staff to seek outside counsel on the bid review for the courthouse roof.
Right, yes, sir.
I'll make that in the form of a motion.
Got a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Got a motion, a second, all in favor?
Thank y'all.
Yeah.
They'll give us somebody that need to say, I think.
All right, you probably covered all your stuff in the department, didn't you?
No, sir, I got my own report as well.
Oh, okay, well then we'll hear from the county administrator.
All right, the road patch RFP by ton is out. The ambulance remount is out as well. We're also advertising for the position of deputy county clerk. Had our regular agenda meeting, and as always dealing with HR matters. Fireworks event update, we're just about there. We've obtained the permit. I understand too, Mr. Emmett has collected a lot in sponsorships. Really appreciate that. Mr. Emmett's been working his tail off. Appreciate you, Mr. Emmett.
The committee.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. The volunteers, the committee, everybody that's been involved. We appreciate all of y'all. Jail update, of course, as noted before, the roof is done and the plumbing and locks are still underway. The shower and toilets are coming soon and should be here pretty quickly. We've discussed timber ordinances a little bit recently as far as what's in place. The department head meeting, I noted the need that we identify backups if anybody's out, who our immediate point of contact is there. The Water and Sewer Authority, I didn't get to attend it because I had a conflict. 2 meetings were happening at once, but I got their minutes from them, and just a couple of things of interest. TCNC has given a price for the fail-safe for the Hogansville tank, so the Water and Sewer Authority will know immediately if their tank is too low to pump to Meriwether County. The price is $7,500, and the motion was made to accept the price. And it passed, and they will be ordering it soon. Actually, I think they've ordered it already by the time I read this.
Does that help us with our overtime situation we had discussed?
No, this is a overflow for the pump, but I can update you on that in executive session.
That's fine. I just didn't know if they were related.
Okay, yes, sir. They discussed potential sewer plans for Luthersville. Ms. Doris is going to set up a meeting with Luthersville, Lone Oak, and the Water and Sewer Authority to discuss plans. We'll follow up on that. Water and sewer rates were discussed in depth. Mr. McBayer gave out a list with different options. They made the motion to use, they chose one of the rate increases beginning with August 24 billing cycle, and we can get more information on that. Of course, we had the department head meeting where constitutional officers and others often attend as well. Had a pre-budget planning meeting, budget spending for the remainder of fiscal year 24 meeting. We talked about pay scale and FLSA impacts. Met with a local large employer regarding location needs for the business. Discussed several dog issues with animal control. Of course, we talked a little bit about tax value, which we'll follow up on tonight and give us a much more detailed presentation. Of course, I provided those labor statistics that y'all will see, which are helpful when whenever we talk about economic development and whether we're pitching the strengths of our county to people interested in the area or talking about the weaker points among ourselves. It's helpful both ways. Of course, the tour of the Pathways facilities, I had pay scale meeting, and as always, email updates to the commissioners. I was also going to suggest that at some point we have a work session to speak with representative about the fleet replacement program. That was something that staff had brought up, and it sounded very promising. And I think we need to, set something up with a representative there. That'll give us time to get in the budget. That's something we're interested in doing.
I got questions from here. Mr. Blue?
Yes, sir. Just to give you guys a couple of updates on Public Works. Year to date, they are over 1,200 Public Works tickets. The top 5 really year to date are gravel, grass cutting, trees, patching, and pipes. Grass cutting in the trees, of course, because it's summer and more stuff is falling, but it's still the gravel, the patching, and the pipes, which are our main needs. Another Public Works update is the engine that you guys approved at the last meeting for $9,500, not to exceed $9,500. We got it for $7,270. So we did not exceed your $9,500.
Good job.
And I was very happy that it did go on sale right after that, and we got lucky there. But I'll take it. Also, going to be working with the library in Greenville to get them some new signage. That's it. Thank y'all.
All right. We'll go right into report from the county commissioner. Mr. Collins.
I just like to thank all the county employees for the job they're doing, and the committee for the fireworks. We've been working really hard, and we hope y'all come out and join us on July the 6th, starting at 5 p.m. We got a great band. We hope we have a great fireworks show. We got a lot of sponsors, and that's all I have.
This past Friday, Leadership Meriwether had their economic development session, and there's several people I want to just say a special thank you to. And first off, Dr. Julie Post with West Georgia Technical College as president. She was there and gave us a really good background for the West Georgia Technical. As Tamara Brock with Georgia Power Economic Development came. Mr. Jim is actually retiring, so she's actually stepped in to take his place. Couldn't have done it without Miss Jane Fryer for all of her hard work getting us ready for this particular the day. And even with the little bumps in the road, we were able to manage to get through the day. And with that, I want to say a special thank you for Public Works, because last minute we did have some problems with the bus. And it was debatable whether or not we could use the bus or not, but they came through and I think it worked out okay. But Barry and Sue and Cody drove the bus, and all of them just really jumped in to make everything work pretty much in the 11th hour. So, but I really want to say a special thank you to Blue at the last minute. I had to call on Blue, not only to help me get the coolers in and out of the car and all, but also to take over with the tours. And I do appreciate that, Blue, I really do. And I hope that it was a learning experience for all of those that participated. With that being said, we've got a lot of industry in the north end of the county and all, but we've also got a lot of other businesses, and I would like to recognize MSS and the people that are here tonight with MSS. And it was an eye-opening when we met to find out the impact that this particular company is having in Meriwether County. And with that, Daniel, thank you so much. And I'm not going to go into any of that details or whatever, but thank you for all your participation in the community and everything. And thank you for being here tonight. Thank you.
I'd like to thank everyone in the county for the work they're doing. There's a lot of activity, as Blue and Jerry were noting. So a lot of good feedback coming from citizens continue. There's still some calls coming in, like you said, some of the weather changes and issues. So there's other calls, but it's good feedback to response times and to the work that's being done. I would like to note that we have reached out to GDOT on Highway 194 in Durand multiple times about that dip in the road that is, in my opinion, extremely unsafe. We did convince them to put a sign up that says there's a dip in the road, but I'd like to advise everyone, if you're going towards Durand from Warren Springs on that road, to use caution at the last curve towards the end of the road there. Very dangerous. So just be careful. The state's not giving us a time when they're going to come work on it, but I think we need to follow up probably weekly with them with complaints, because it's going to be a bad accident there sooner or later. So, and then the event at Longleaf this weekend with Alabama and the other artists that were there was exceptional. I probably had a little too much fun myself, but it was good. It was good to see Meriwether County well represented with Chief Stevens and his team did a very good job, and they were set up very well, and they were present and represented the county well. It was a good look, and they did a good job. So thank you.
All right. The only thing I have is the county roads that we're clearing and all, and we go in and cut every year. What's happening is we're cutting at a certain level, but anything above that is continuously growing over the roads above that level. And when you have storms, you have limbs popping off into the roads. I think we need to look at, we probably can't purchase one, but if we can rent or lease or have somebody come in with a boom saw and cut some of those limbs off like Georgia Power does, because every year when we go in and cut, we're only cutting at a certain height, and it's really not doing exactly what we need up above, because you have all that debris falling down, limbs falling down, and it's going to cause the same issues if we don't do something for that. I know Commissioner Collins mentioned the July 6th. Manchester's also having a July 3rd one, fireworks and all. It's open to everybody in the county. So if you want to hit two of them for the 4th of July, come to Manchester and do that one, and go to Meriwether on the 6th. That's all I have.
All right, and I'll add to your the boom cutting thing. I'm getting a lot of complaints on several roads, but to help everybody understand that, we've been waiting several months for the deck to be rebuilt, and I think it's coming in today or tomorrow, from what Barry Lucas told me. because we got Garner Road, we got people in motorhomes were scratching the side of their motorhomes because it's hanging down too low. So he assured me as soon as they got that in this week, they were fixing to be getting on these roads, cutting the overhead stuff. But yes, I do think we need to be looking at, we looked at one was down there in Savannah, we had a big convention of vendors. It would be nice, Barry was gonna try to put some numbers together or look at stuff. It'd be nice if we had a piece of equipment because the roads are starting to grow over. So I'm just following up with what you said there. Randy Carter just texted me and said that, we started our recreation program this year. And if you didn't know it, our 8 and under boys were playing for a state championship over in Bowden this evening. Our 8 and under boys won 16 to Banks County 7. So they will play tomorrow at 2 o'clock against Dodge County for the state championship. Our 10 and under boys, oh, he gave me an update, because it said 10 and under in the 4th inning was, we were winning 11-3. 10 and under just won 16-3. So both teams won. 10 and under boys play tomorrow at 12. So both our teams will be playing at 12 and 2 tomorrow, representing Meriwether well. So, and also as Adam mentioned, I was there too at the Alabama concert, the country music festival that they call it Longleaf put on this weekend. Cassandra was out there. I've seen a lot of county folks out there. It was a great event. And he's right. They represented us well, and all those that volunteered from the fire departments and so forth. As far as I know, I don't hear of any arrests or any fights break out. And usually you think when it's that hot and people are drinking, somebody gets irritated and aggravated and something goes wrong. But it really was a great event other than hot and a few people falling out. So other than that, I thank everybody for what they're doing. And I have nothing else to say. Do we have anything from the county attorney?
I have no report. I do understand that we have need for executive session for real estate, and I'm not sure.
And
there's anything.
personnel and litigation.
Okay, well, that being said, if there's nothing else, do I have a motion to go into executive session for real estate litigation and personnel?
So moved.
Got a motion, got a second?
Second.
Got a second, all in favor? We are now in executive session at 7:56 PM. Motion to go back into regular session. Got a motion, got a second?
Second.
Got a second, all in favor? We're back in regular session. We had several discussions in executive session. We got a couple items to take action on. The first one, I need a motion.
I'll make a motion. I would like to make a motion to provide the county clerk with a 7.5% increase in her current salary due to the completion of her public manager certification.
I got a motion. Do I have a second? Got a second? Mr. Collins, all in favor? Thank you.
She worked hard for that.
Yes, you did.
Now, the other thing was, whoever's got the parcel number and the address, I need a motion to, this piece of property that the county owns, we're gonna put it out for bid, seal bid. It's gonna need to be cleaned up and so forth, so we're gonna make a motion on that with conditions. Go ahead, sir.
I'd like to make a motion that the county put out for sealed bid, W014011, 326 Brace Street, Woodbury, must be cleaned up 30 days after closing.
You got a motion, got a second, all in favor? I think none too. Is there any other discussions or things that's been left out need to be mentioned before we close this meeting? If not, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Got motions all over the place and seconds, and we are taking
Take a
all in
peek.
favor. We are adjourned